Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Will and Way podcast, where we spotlight young changemakers who are shaping the world using their courage and creativity. If you've ever felt different or doubted yourself, this conversation is going to remind you how your challenges can become your superpowers. What if I told you that a 7-year-old girl once felt invisible in class, and today she's changing how the world sees dyslexia? Meet Mariana Gillen-Sanchez. In today's episode, we're going to talk about Mariana's journey with dyslexia, how she found her voice, and why she believes youth voices are more powerful than ever. This is Will and Way. Thank you so much, Mariana, for the opportunity to speak with you. Really glad you came. And
Thank you.
before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Aanya Talati. I'm 11 years old. Next year, I'll be going to 6th grade. And I love playing basketball and softball. And my favorite hobby is reading. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, maybe?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Mariana Gillen. I am 18 years old, and I am someone who was diagnosed with dyslexia in the 2nd grade. My project and the impact I try having on children's lives is surrounded by dyslexia. I can relate to children who are struggling with dyslexia. I think going throughout the school system, it was really tough. And so my passion has always been, being able to be a supporter for children struggling with dyslexia, but also, outside of that, I'm working right now full time, trying to go to school as an esthetician and continuing my project as well.
That's great. And that's really powerful story, how you're helping kids.
Thank you.
Mariana, before we dive in, if someone Googled your name today, they'll find your story everywhere. But how would you describe yourself in just one sentence?
In just one sentence, I would probably say, dyslexia is a superpower, and that's something I try to always get across.
You say dyslexia is a superpower, and of course, I completely agree. But what in dyslexia makes you think it's a superpower? How does it help you?
So something I noticed, I think a lot of times in the school system, of course, now it's getting better. Like people are more aware of dyslexia, but it was very looked down upon and kind of pushed away. If a child has dyslexia, they wouldn't get the accommodations or the help they needed. But now, of course, I'm seeing like dyslexia programs. But I've noticed with dyslexia throughout all the years of having it is that dyslexia is a superpower. You learn differently by having dyslexia. I see a lot of children by like volunteering at like elementary schools, the way they read, the way they even do math, like the way they add things together, the way they work is so differently. They learn so differently. And sometimes they learn in like many different ways that most people may not be able to understand, but they somehow figure it out and they do it just as well as anyone else would have done.
That makes so much sense. Can you give me an experience about that? An example of that from your own experience?
Yeah.
Like how did you?
Of course. With dyslexia, I've noticed that through my struggles with dyslexia, that even just reading, I was behind on reading for a long time, even in elementary school and even close to middle school. But like dyslexia wasn't just in my reading, it was in my math. It was the way I saw things. It was the way I comprehended things. It was the way that anyone else would. And I noticed with like math, I'd figure out a way to do the problem differently. And I think it shocked a lot of teachers because they're trying to teach it one way, but I couldn't understand it or grasp it that way, except for the fact that I was able to find out multiple different ways that it worked best for me.
That makes so much sense. And so now let's go back to the very beginning. You were diagnosed with dyslexia, as you said, in 2nd grade.
Yes.
Can you take us back? What did that moment feel for you, for young Mariana?
Yeah, of course. So I think finding out I had dyslexia in the 2nd grade was relieving, but at the same time, it was also really scary. It felt like a relief at first, but it felt really scary because dyslexia wasn't really treated, and it wasn't really kind of brought out in a lot of schools. So having dyslexia, there's no specific programs. There wasn't any teachers that could help you or like special teachers or like special ed teachers. None of that. So you kind of felt like you're left on your own. And there was kind of no support except for my family, my close family who supported me. But like in the school system that I went to, there was no support at all. And it was either that you're not catching up quick enough and you felt like you're slowing behind. So I would say that yes, being diagnosed with dyslexia felt like such a relief, but I think it kind of hit me that at a young age that that fear of not knowing what to do anymore.
Wow. Most kids would have given up then. What made you turn your struggles into purpose instead?
Yeah, so I noticed that with dyslexia and the struggles of dyslexia, I started off making kits for children with dyslexia at the age of 8th grade. So, like 13 to 14 years old, I started with that and I saw the biggest improvement. Those were all the tools that I used. And so I wanted to be an impact and give them out to children who were in need, but also like who weren't in need and just needed support and help. Also, parents who are looking for answers for their child. And I figured out through that a lot of children aren't diagnosed until 3rd, 4th grade, if they're lucky. So it's very difficult. I mean, there were so many signs of me having dyslexia at kindergarten, 1st grade, that maybe I could have been able to get the accommodations I needed. And I think a lot of other children as well. So then I really wanted to push like screening for dyslexia.
So you feel that it's easier to know early on rather than afterward?
No, I think when it's afterwards, it almost feels like it's almost too late, because you want to be able to break that cycle, but it's never too late to break that cycle. But I know for a fact if it was maybe catched on earlier for a lot of children, they wouldn't have to go through the struggles of being in like all this, struggles in school.
Yeah. And you mentioned that your teachers and classmates didn't really understand what you were going through. So when you were first diagnosed, what is one thing you wish your teachers understood about you?
I think now I look back on that and I think of a lot of the times, like I see so many amazing programs that help educate teachers on dyslexia that they didn't have then. So I think definitely that if they were more educated on what dyslexia was, that it's really common. 1 in 4 children have dyslexia. And I think that wasn't really known of then or at the time. And so I think if they knew that, they would have known how to work with a child with dyslexia and how to treat a child with dyslexia.
I think it's amazing that you took your struggles and not knowing about what to do with when you had dyslexia and you helped other kids with that. So let's talk about that. So most Girl Scouts sell cookies. You built literacy kits that changed lives. How did the idea even start?
I think I really give all my thanks to Girl Scouts because that really helped me get on my feet when it came to making a project. And especially since they had like a silver award. First, it's bronze, but I started my silver award as a Juliet, which was like something you do on your own. So instead of being in a troupe, which I did do my bronze in a troupe, but it wasn't around dyslexia. But doing my silver award project as a Juliet helped me find my own passion. I was always really fascinated on like projects and like anything when it came to the community. I just wanted to be out there at a very young age. So when it came to my Silver Award project, I was all for it.
Okay, so how do your M.A.R.I kits work?
So my M.A.R.I kits, everything inside my M.A.R.I kits are tools that I used through dyslexia in my early years. I had a tutor. And also I had some really amazing like teachers. No, it wasn't just all bad, but I think it was really tough. Like I was falling behind to the point that I was going to get held back. And it was really out of their hands. Like they couldn't really do much. So I have word tiles that help me be able to sound out words. I have a Hear Myself phone. I have noise canceling headphones. All those things for children struggling with dyslexia that I use, and that even studies have shown the improvements of those for children.
Yeah, those must be really helpful. And you said they were from your own experience, right?
Yes. And I also even added a book in there for children with dyslexia that they're able to relate to. I remember reading it and I felt so connected to the character, and I really, really wanted to put that in there.
That's amazing. Can you tell me all of the tools that you put in the kit and like what the purposes are maybe?
Yeah, of course. So first I have my pencil grips. I think they're really good for any child, kindergarten through 3rd grade. They're learning how to write, and I feel like it's so important to be able to kind of get yourself on there. They're able to put their regular like pencil in there and then they're able to write with it. I use those, and I think we all have at one point, which was super helpful. I have a whiteboard. I want these kits so these children are able to take these kits home and be able to write and practice their spelling words or their learn how to sound out words and just kind of like learn to have fun with it. School is not a bad thing. Learning is not a bad thing. It's an amazing thing. School is also an amazing thing. And I think them being able to take that home and being able to just kind of practice their spelling words, those were always exciting things. Another thing I had was, of course, the book, like I told you about. I want children to be able to connect with them. I have like a little message in there that's saying dyslexia is a superpower that I want all children to know. So it's kind of like an affirmation / like quote. I also have a word highlighter. So it's kind of like you just put it on whatever book you're reading and it's able to just stay at the sentence. I struggled so much throughout the years, in my earlier years, of always skipping the lines or skipping words. And I just felt like after reading the whole page, I didn't know where I was at. So it was super challenging. And I remember a teacher showing me she got an index card and cut out a hole and helped me follow along. So when I found those highlighters, that it just, oh my God, opened my heart to it. And I really wanted to add that in there. I also have word tiles, which we all love. Helps children to sound out words, helps them to spell out words. They have the ing, things like that for children, especially in the early years when they're learning how to spell. And then, of course, I have the noise canceling headphones, which are my favorite. I see kids using them during tests. I see them using them while they're reading, while they're just doing their own thing, whenever. I remember working with a school and I saw one of the kids using it during a test. Sometimes the little noises can really just help make a kid not be able to focus. And it's really challenging. It gets to a point where it's kind of discouraging because you're trying to focus, you're trying to be, you know, focus on the test and your mind's going everywhere. And then lastly, I have the Hear Myself phone, which I love so much. I put that in there because I think we all used that at one point, and I especially used it. But if they're in a loud setting and they can't read out loud, they can just whisper it and they're able to hear themselves perfectly. So I just love that. That was something I really enjoyed.
That's amazing. It's awesome how you use your own experience and so you know the kids through and through and what they need, right? Their necessities and how to help them.
Exactly.
How do you hand out the kits and how do others receive it? Is it through social media? Do you go knocking door to door? Do you have a stand? How is it?
Yeah. So my social media has really helped me to get out there. I've connected with a lot of people, such as Richard Gonsmart from the Colombian restaurant. He's been one of my biggest supporters. He's an amazing person who struggled with dyslexia throughout his whole life and wasn't diagnosed until he was in his 40s. So just imagine going all throughout your years of schooling and just not really knowing what was going on. But he was such a hardworking person and really got and fought for his dreams, and he's there and has done amazing things. So I think he has been able to help me. He was one of my sponsors. I've had others who are my sponsors at the Reed's Charitable Foundation, who helps work with children. Well, not children, helps work with teachers so they know how to work with children with dyslexia. I've also, through my social media, I've had parents reach out to me and I have been able to send their children kits and telling me their kid's story in their early years. I love to go around to schools, and it just takes reaching out to schools. It takes calling, checking, emailing, and being hey, I would love to give these kits out. I've had the Tampa Bay Lightnings help sponsor me, which was so amazing and so helpful. So being able to get all the supplies for my kids and then be able to hand them out to all schools around Florida was awesome.
So firstly, congratulations on getting that many sponsors. It must be amazing once they reach out to you,
Thank
And
you.
how do the sponsors reach out to you and how do you ask for sponsors?
Yeah, so I do have a website, which is www.M.A.R.I, earlysignsofdyslexia.com or org. And I have a lot of, signs of dyslexia on there because for my Gold Award project, that was my main focus. After making the kits and even continuing to this day is that I want children to be able to be signed and get screened for dyslexia. So that is my website. And also through social media, I've been able to reach out and put my story out there. If you ever want to come help for children struggling with dyslexia, you can always go to my Facebook page, and that will take you to things that you can be able to purchase and to be able to donate, to be able to give to children with dyslexia.
Yeah, that's a great story, and I'm sure many people would love to help, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When you hand out the kits or when parents ask, what's the biggest reaction you've gotten from kids
Oh,
or parents?
of course. I've had one sweet girl, she wrote me a cute little card and sent me some little Polaroids, which was so sweet. But her parents are telling me that she was struggling with a lot during school. She was having a really hard time and she was really kind of beating herself up about it. And that's a lot of the signs that children, whenever they are diagnosed with dyslexia, have a lot of fear and kind of resentment towards themselves, thinking that they're not doing good enough or they're not good enough, which is not true at all. So when she got that kit, she was so happy and she was sending me little pictures of her with the kit that grandparents were. I've had some where their parents will send me videos of them like reading and like just seeing a beautiful smile on their faces.
You made a great point there. Dyslexia isn't just an academic challenge, and it's an emotional one too. And it's amazing, like that one reaction, you must have felt so good, of course, right?
Yeah.
When you had dyslexia, like when you were first diagnosed the first 1 or 2 months, did you ever feel like giving up?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it was very challenging. And
You made a great point there. Dyslexia is not just an academic challenge, it's an emotional one too. And you must have felt great getting that reaction, right?
yeah,
Um, have in the first few months when you were diagnosed, did you ever feel like giving up?
probably say yes, 100%. I think as a child, it was really challenging. And you just kind of want to just sit back and just, what was the point of really just fighting to be able to read and being able to be like other kids when you felt like you weren't getting anywhere? When actually you are. It's just dyslexia does take time. It does take a lot of practice, but you will get there. Progress takes time. And so just knowing that as a kid is really challenging and really difficult. But through the support of my family and the people around me really helped push me at a young age.
Great tip for kids everywhere, right? Progress
Yeah.
takes time. And fast forward from that day, now you have the M.A.R.I kits, which are helping. And as you mentioned before, you have a job and you have so much. So, how do you balance school, work, M.A.R.I kits, like classroom speaking, collaboration? How do you keep everything running smoothly?
Exactly. That is a good question. I think for me, I'd learned to just take time and be able to focus on one thing. But my biggest passion was helping children with dyslexia, whether it's making the kits or posting on my social media page or on my website when people check out my website and I have informational sessions about dyslexia with other school boards and just kind of discussing like important science, the science behind it, the facts about it. 1 in 4 children have dyslexia. I love the fact that I had an educational, like Zoom and being able to put that on there for children and parents who have a lot of questions. And so even with like a busy schedule, it has pushed me to continue it and it has made things a lot better and a lot easier that I know that there's an impact.
That's great. You also earned many awards, right, for your work. And so, did that help you keep pushing forward, knowing that you're making a difference and people were seeing it?
Yes, 100%. That really did make me push me. And seeing all like the impact I have on children and families' lives really did push me.
And one award that I heard that you got, the Girl Scout Gold Award. First,
Yeah.
congratulations on getting it.
Thank you.
What does that medal really mean to you?
The Girl Scout, so they have like the gold, the silver, and the bronze. Well, that was kind of backwards, sorry. So the bronze award, the silver, and then the gold award. I said that a little backwards, but that gold award's the final project in Girl Scouts. And so being able to do that was for children struggling with dyslexia and parents who need answers. So I started the early signs of dyslexia. And that is my website. It's www.earlysignsofdyslexia.com if anyone wants to check it out. But that website has informational sessions and also 10 things that you can look out for in a young child. So doing that for my Gold Award project really caught a lot of eyes. And I think a lot of people in the room could relate to that they have their own children struggling with dyslexia or that they struggled with dyslexia. And it could have been really helpful when they were younger.
Yes, that's so true. And let's back way up for a second. Can you actually describe a really simple version to understand what is really dyslexia in its core?
Yeah, what is dyslexia? So, dyslexia is a learning difference. I love saying learning difference because we're all learning differently. It's not a disability. It's nothing that can stop you. You may learn differently and it may be a lot more challenging than most people, but you will get there. It's just you learn differently. And I think dyslexia altogether, it's not just in reading, it's not just in math. In its core, it can be anything. It can be reading, math. It can be both of them. It's when your mind switches up the words. And so you have trouble challenging reading or seeing numbers correctly. And so it can be really it can be unmotivating at times, especially when you're younger, when you're not sure what it is.
Thank you for the description. Actually, it's very enlightening because many people think dyslexia is just focused on reading and like the words are jumbled, right? Focusing on that, what is one misconception people usually have on dyslexia?
That they're not working hard enough. I've heard that a lot, especially throughout my years of school. At a young age, I had like teachers telling me I wasn't working hard enough in like first, second grade. Or whenever I'd write something down, one of them picked up like my notebook and started laughing at it. And so that was really challenging for a child to see a teacher react that way. So I think that was one of the misconceptions, is that they're not working hard enough, when actually they are working really hard.
That's so right, because when you're young, like you look up to teachers as you're in a classroom most of the day, right? So it makes
Yeah,
sense. You'd want someone who's supportive. And
exactly.
now I hope, as I'm sure you do, like I hope now that many other kids are getting the real supportive teachers. You still have a lot. And you're about to start college in this fall, right? So
Yes.
how do you see your advocacy evolving to a bigger stage?
I would say continue where I'm at right now. I've seen so many impacts, and all I want to do is make an awareness, change children's lives, be able to connect and make them feel that they're not alone, because they're not. That is my like main focus. That is where I want to be at. Being able to connect all throughout the world, not just in Florida where I'm from, but all throughout the world with families and children, and being their support system.
That's perfect. And that actually brings us to one thing I actually wanted to ask. If the US president gave you 5 minutes to talk to the entire world live TV, what would you say? What message would you show?
On the message, I'd probably say the first one is dyslexia is a superpower. That was always so inspiring to me, just thinking about it as a child. And that's kind of where I got it from, was that when I started being able to put the pieces together, that I'm learning differently. Dyslexia is not a learning, it's not a learning disability. It's better to say it's a learning difference. Those are inspiring words, and I would probably really want to say that.
Okay. What's your dream for every child with dyslexia in the next 10 years?
The next 10 years, it would definitely be that they accomplish their dreams.
That's awesome. And you said that the dyslexia is a superpower. So what is one message for every child who are struggling with?
Yeah, of course. I would definitely say that dyslexia for me, and I know in everyone else's lives who struggle with dyslexia, that you'll still be able to get your dreams. You'll still be able to accomplish your dreams, that there's so much more behind just having dyslexia. And also seeing the beauty in having dyslexia, the positive in having dyslexia, not just the negative, and not just what's kind of thrown on you as a young age. That dyslexia does have an impact in your life, and it has a good one.
That's so true. And thank you for sharing that. Now, lastly, let's end with our Will and Way rapid fire round, okay? So, ready?
Yes.
Dyslexia in one word.
Dyslexia in one word, I would probably say, oh my God, I had so many in my head, but inspiring.
Favorite book?
Favorite book, The Alphabet War.
Favorite genre?
Favorite genre, English.
Idol growing up?
I have so many, but I would probably say the ones who have struggled with dyslexia. So I have like 100. But one of the guys who are on Shark Tank, and I can never get his name right, but he also struggles with dyslexia.
Okay. Biggest fear?
Not being able to get the word out, and wanting to be able to have every child hear that dyslexia is amazing.
One quote you live by?
I would say everything happens for a reason.
What always makes you laugh?
Definitely anything like funny movies or memes. They're always funny. They make me in a good mood.
Biggest strength?
Biggest strength, dyslexia.
Biggest inspiration?
Dyslexia.
Most rewarding experience?
Seeing all the smiles on children's faces.
Okay, thank you so much. That was so awesome and great
Thank
answers
you.
to all of them. And your story was so inspiring. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on this podcast with me. It was amazing to hear your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, what an incredible conversation with Mariana Gillen-Sanchez. From struggling with dyslexia to speaking on global stages, her story proves that the very thing we think holds us back actually makes us unstoppable. Love this episode? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear Mariana's message. See you next time.